So I'm Leslie Edwards Davis, again, the director of the UAW UMass Health and Welfare Trust Fund. This is our session on Calm, the Calm app, and how to access it and what it is. And we have with us today Logan Wacker from Calm. And I'm going to turn everything over to you, Logan.
Awesome. Thanks, Leslie. Appreciate you allowing me to be here. Before we jump into anything on my end, I do want to go through just a quick, about 2-minute practice here before we jump in. So I'm just going to go ahead and go off video, turn my sound on here, pop in the chat if anybody can't hear it, but just start with a quick meditation before kicking off.
Hey there, my name's Chibzo Karake. I know, you're too busy to meditate, but this is a mini meditation, just 60 seconds to unplug and reboot when you're feeling fried. Let's get straight into it. Eyes open or eyes closed. Start by settling your focus on the breath, noticing the inhale and the exhale. For the next 3 breaths, we're going to lengthen our exhale and engage our relaxation response, keeping the body relaxed as we breathe in. 2, 3, breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do a couple more breaths on your own. Now allowing our breathing to return to its natural rhythm. We all have those frantic moments where you feel too busy for a breather. That's often when we need it most. Remember, it only takes a minute to take 3 controlled breaths and give yourself a break. 1 last breath in, and a slow breath out. Now let's get back to our day.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing that with me. But just to transition into just an intro to Calm, just to quickly introduce myself. I know Leslie did a quick introduction, but I'm Logan. I'm a customer success manager here at Calm, based out of Columbus, Ohio. And the focus of today's session is really just to show you how to get the most out of your Calm experience, which of course is being offered to you through the fund as a benefit. The way that I think of Calm is it can really be used to build mental fitness through better sleep, mindfulness, and meditation. And I commonly think of it as kind of like a gym for your mind. And we'll touch a little bit on that throughout this presentation, but really however you choose to use Calm, I hope is that you can incorporate it into your day-to-day and that it will help reduce stress and just support you in being your best, both personally and professionally. So first, how to sign up. I will have this up at the very end, and we'll send these links at the very end as well. But you're going to go through a series of logins through your trust account here, and then we'll walk through those at the very end as well. But just wanted to put this on here in case you're watching a recording and wanted to screenshot it before I move forward with any of this. But today we'll talk a little bit about stress and the impact that it has on our mental health. We'll talk about specific Calm tools that can help support you through that stress. And lastly, usually we'll finish with a meditation. Not sure we'll get to one today since we did one at the very beginning, but we'll be able to answer any questions. But throughout also there is a Q&A that should be in the webinar. So feel free to pop those in there if you do have any questions throughout. I always like to start these off by just taking a moment to review this graph and the correlation between stress and performance. So as we all know, stress is universal. It's an inevitable part of our lives. And over the past, say, 3.5 years, people have faced increased stress with the pandemic, work conditions evolving, everyday life stressors, for example. And it seems like everything's just changing so rapidly. And change especially is one of those things that just induces a lot of stress. Think about COVID, pandemic. There's a lot of change that happened then. And when we have appropriate levels of stress, that's totally fine. Intermittent stress is something that we can typically manage, but when our bodies experience sustained levels of high stress, that's typically where we struggle. When we really ignore our body's cues and stress becomes chronic, that could be damaging to both our mental as well as our physical health even. So it's important to get the right tools to help support ourselves through those moments. And also, mental health impacts us all. So the point of these numbers here is not to necessarily try to scare anybody, but really just to make us realize that we're not alone in a lot of things that we experience. You and probably those that you know have most likely experienced at least some symptoms of depression, stress, disordered sleeping, so on and so forth. So in short, stress is an issue, maybe in the past 5 years more than ever. So how can we really improve resilience in the face of that stress? Going back to the idea of like calm being a gym for your mind, we like to talk about the muscles of the mind. And what we're really referring to there are the different mental abilities that we want to access, strengthen, and flex, capabilities that when they're strong, they work together to support you in being your best. And just as we think about our minds like a muscle, again, going back to that concept of the gym, if we do physical exercise, like if I do 100 push-ups a day or I go to the gym every day, our physical body starts to strengthen and change. We can also benefit from these exercises to strengthen our minds and our mental performance. There's a term, it's called neuroplasticity, that means that really at any age we can change our brains. So, it's really encouraging that we're able to actually morph that over time. With dedication towards that, we can really break out of different unhealthy patterns that maybe we're experiencing today and replace them with newer and healthier habits. In the end, better prepares us to deal with life stressful events and experiences, which of course is a whole reason behind calm. On the last graph, you may have noticed that one of these circles was related to improving our stress response. And in order to do that, awareness is key. Managing stress really begins with the just recognition that you're responding to a stressor. So via body awareness, in a stressful situation, you might start to sweat, your heart might start to race a little bit faster. And when stress is ongoing, it can manifest in other ways, such as poor eating and sleeping habits, for example. When we become aware of what's happening in our bodies and our minds, we can really open ourselves up for choice and responding to situations versus letting our instincts take over in the form of a more involuntary reaction. So just an example of this, let's just say, and this probably happens to everybody at some point in their life, but you're driving along the highway and suddenly a car speeds over and cuts you off. Without mindfulness, you might blame the other driver for how careless they're being, be a little bit upset about that. The signs that you're responding to a stressor might come up, like your heart might start to race a little bit faster in that moment. So those are all signs that kind of show you're responding to that stressor. With mindfulness, it really gives you the opportunity to pause, take a deep breath, and even maybe show sympathy for the other driver. Maybe they're rushing to the hospital to see a loved one and they're dealing with their own stressors. So we can really cultivate this ability to respond using mindfulness. And mindfulness really at its core is just having awareness about the current situation and responding with an attitude of openness versus judgment. So now that we've talked a bit about the impact of mindfulness, I want to talk through how Calm can help you develop this tool. So I always like to just take a moment here, kind of see the different Calm areas that we have, maybe take note of ones that you haven't used before or didn't know Calm had within it. So a lot of people think of Calm, I think maybe meditations, maybe you do think of sleep stories initially, but we do have a lot more than that. So I'd just like to jot down what you haven't seen here maybe before, and we'll talk about each of these categories. I always start with sleep, just because I like to say everybody sleeps, or at least, we hope everybody sleeps. It's such a big part of resilience. Our brains really need sleep to consolidate memories and process information, and it helps us recover from mental and physical exertion. Even just a few hours of lost sleep can impact our thinking, our memory, and our mood. And especially in today's day and age, it's often something that's underappreciated and overlooked, but it's really a fundamental contributor of good health. And, personally, and I'm sure everyone has experienced this at some point in their life, you start to feel a bit tired and you think it's time for bed and you go lay down. And as you lay there, you start to think about what you did during the day, what you have to do in the morning. And it's super frustrating a lot of the times because you were just tired before you laid down and you have to get a good night's sleep to be productive, whatever you're doing the next day. So to combat situations like that, Calm created sleep stories to help you ease into a good night's sleep. I always say that they're interesting enough so that you don't have those racing thoughts about what you did that day or what you have to do tomorrow, but they're not interesting enough to where you feel like you need to listen to the entire thing. So it really helps you get a better night's sleep. There are a lot of familiar faces within here. Matthew McConaughey, you can see over here on the left, Idris Elba, Harry Styles, so on and so forth. Oh, and there's a whole kids section of this as well, which I'll talk about more in depth here in a minute. Meditation is likely what most people think of when they think of Calm. We have different guided meditations, series of meditations on specific topics. You can see here over on the right-hand side, 7 days of happiness, 7 days of managing stress. There's a really strong body of research that shows that even just one meditation, 10 minutes a day, can have a really big impact on psychological stress and anxiety. And although meditation does help us relax in a way, it's also, it relates to that kind of like Calm as a gym for your mind, where, it helps exercise the mind, builds a lot of mental muscles like concentration. And I like to talk about how there's a common misconception about meditation, that it's about having a blank mind. And for this reason, a lot of people think that they're bad at meditation. They can't sit there and, do nothing for 10 minutes. But really, we have so many thoughts throughout the day that we're not really going to make those go away. And so instead, the goal of meditation is starting to notice our thinking, change our relationship with it, and learn how to pay attention to those thoughts in the present moment. Within the category of meditation, we have 3 unique daily meditations, one of them being more of a wisdom session of sorts, each about 10 minutes long. Personally try to do one each morning. And there's something for all levels of meditators too. So there's a 30-day mindfulness for beginners series, one of my personal favorites if you've never been introduced to the topic. And again, these themed meditations are great for starters. Music is a really easy and accessible way to calm ourselves when we're feeling stressed. It can calm our nervous system, slower our heart rates, lower our stress hormone levels, and we've really grown our music selection. You can see some amazing artists in here like Katy Perry, Keith Urban, Casey Musgraves, for example. A lot of my favorite sessions, and I work with a lot of groups like in the workforce, a lot of people listen to their focus music throughout the day, even with students, for example. If you're studying, great to listen to something that's specifically designed to help you focus, as opposed to something that's maybe a little bit more lyrical. Our nature scenes are a core part of the app. Just looking at a natural scene can be enough to lower our stress response. When I play the meditation, I was playing the evening crickets, which is one of those, but you can also see a couple other ones here, the rain on leaves on the left, the sunset at the beach. So really you can choose whatever you think is most relaxing for you. This is our breathe bubble. It's a simple breathing exercise to help settle your nerves and help you reconnect with your body. I always like to go back to that stress graph that we looked at earlier. One of the quickest ways of interrupting that stress response is through deep breathing. Incredible tool of people of all ages, and we try to make like a visual impact here within the app so that you can do it by yourself and follow along, or it's even great for kids if you have kids as well. So always like to take a moment and just do a quick rounds of deep breathing together. Awesome. So when we do something like that, I always like just to take note of how you feel before, how you feel during, and how you feel after. I think it's a really good gauge for whether that's something that works for you. So because stress can cause muscles to tense, being stressed out can cause a lot of headaches, backaches, general fatigue. And so you can combat that with different stretches and movement, yoga positions, so on and so forth. So we created something called the Daily Move with our instructor, Mel Ma here, where great to get the blood flowing in the morning. Even people use it as a midday break if they've been sitting at a desk, for example, for the first half of their day. So really good to try one of these each day. One of my personal favorite categories is our wisdom sessions and our master classes. We have different experts in their given field providing different insights, and it's kind of like a hybrid podcast online course format of sorts. So you're able to take actionable strategies and tools into your life. We have a daily wisdom session with Jay Shetty, very popular on social media. I kind of think of that as like your daily dose of inspiration or motivation to start your day. And an example of the other category, which is master classes, is a better sleep master class for learning different tricks on how to fall asleep and get the best night's sleep you've ever had. Great quote from that one, which is everything you do better with a good night's sleep, which I think rings true for 99% of the population. We also have for work content. The 60-second reboot, the one that we did at the beginning, was technically a piece of for work content because we have shorter meditations within there, focus playlists, meeting starting playlists and meditations, for example. So really good as you get into the workforce and start to need things like this throughout the day. For those of you with kids as well, we have a great Calm for Kids section, which I'll actually walk through here in a minute. A lot of these are sleep stories. A lot of the kids like different sleep stories with the different characters. You know, we have Transformers, Winnie the Pooh, a few examples I'll go in there. And you can also add up to 5 family members or dependents to your account as an added benefit. So not only for yourself, but for a spouse, a friend, dependents, maybe kids going off to college, for example, are really good use cases for that. Last but not least, we have a variety of different tools within Calm to help advance your mindfulness practice. So a couple that I really like. One is our mood check-in. So you'll actually see it on the screen here. Every day you can kind of log how you're feeling in a given moment just to see if there's any trends in how you're feeling between Monday through Friday or on the weekend even. You can set reminders for yourself to actually do these different things, but there's 4 different practices within here to help advance your practice here. Lastly, I want to take a tour of Calm. So I'm going to transition over here. So I always like to start on the homepage just because this is where those dailies are located. I highly recommend starting with the dailies just because they rotate every single day and they don't actually force you in a way to picking a specific topic. As you start to advance your practice, you might dig into the meditation category a little bit more and find specific things on certain categories. So let's just say you're dealing with a particularly challenging relationship. You can toggle here, find some sessions that would work well for you in that given moment. Sleep, this is where if I come in here, you'll start to see some of the ones that are featured, but you'll see Matthew McConaughey, Harry Styles, Cillian Murphy here, some very familiar faces. But to transition into the kids section real quick, this is where if you do have kids, grandkids at home, they will find a character that they can fall in love with. Some of the ones that we introduced recently are the Disney princesses, which you can see here at the top. But if I scroll down here, similar familiar stories that you'll know, Winnie the Pooh, Peter Pan, Wonderful Wizard of Oz, so on and so forth. Music section, again, really like going in here and listening to certain categories of music. So focus and flow being a big one of those. But you can also do things to uplift you. So really great for morning walks, for example. If you prefer to listen to piano playlists while you're doing some things to help you relax at night. I think there's a category of music for everybody within here. There's the for work section. If you are in the workforce, that will help you with certain topics in the workplace. So if I scroll down here, you'll see, unplugging, stepping away from the computer. There's a frustration with colleagues, one, procrastination, a lot of different workplace topics that you can learn about and reflect on. There's the wisdom section, which is kind of like a daily dose of inspiration or motivation again. This is really, I think it's more approachable, especially if you haven't done meditations in the past. It's a really good one to start with, just because Jay makes it really easy to not feel like you're meditating necessarily, especially if you have never done it before. our movement. So again, the daily movement session, she usually does about 3 positions of sorts, some of them very easy, some of them more yoga positions, for example, but really just meant to help get your blood flowing throughout the day, because movement is really important for your physical and mental health. Then lastly, how to add dependents or family members. If you go to profile here and manage subscription, this is where you can add your dependents. There'll be a button here that says manage dependents and another one that says invite dependents. I've already added all of mine, so I don't get that button, but you'll just send that link to those individuals. They'll be able to sign up for their very own Calm account, linked to yours in a way. They won't be able to sign into yours, you won't be able to sign into theirs, but they'll just be logged as a dependent of yours on the back end. But that is pretty much it for me in terms of the walkthrough of the app itself, as well as just the different categories. I'm going to leave this up here, Leslie, unless you wanted to share your screen and run through how people will sign up. But I'll pass it back over to you and see if there's anything else you wanted me to run through.
Thank you so much. No, I think that was great. I will share my screen at the end just to show people what it will look like on their dashboard. But I just wanted to say we added Calm as a benefit right before the pandemic started. And we feel so lucky that we were, that we found Calm right before that period where it was extremely useful to folks. And it continues to be, to this day, the second most popular benefit that we offer, just behind the wellness reimbursement, where folks can get reimbursed for a variety of wellness options. It's the one we hear about the most after that wellness reimbursement. We get a lot of feedback about people saying that they listen to the music while they're at work, while they're in the lab, while they're, doing work at home. They share the videos with their kids to help them fall asleep. They use the daily movement to just break up their day, to get out of the chair. So I think the most important slide you showed, Logan, is all of the different options in Calm, because there really is something for everyone and every situation. And you don't have to feel like you need to be an expert at meditation or really invest a lot of time. You can kind of plug into something small here to get started. I like to explore things when I have like empty downtime, like I'm waiting for an appointment and I have nothing to occupy myself. And instead of doom scrolling, I will check out the daily movement or the daily wisdom and just listen to something brief while I'm waiting in kind of dead time. And I think there's lots of opportunities for you to find small ways to, find your entrance into the Calm app. So I encourage you to do that. And one thing I really stress is that as soon as you're deemed eligible in our system and Calm shows up on your dashboard, just take the few steps to set it up, because then when you are finding yourself not being able to fall asleep, or you really are feeling like you haven't moved your body recently and you could use a little jump start, it's already set up for you. It's downloaded on your phone and you can just open it up instead of trying to figure out how to get it set up for yourself. So I would just do it and set it and then forget it, and then it's there when you need it. So I'll just share my screen briefly. I just wanted to show folks what the dashboard will look like once your eligibility has been confirmed by the grad school. Your dashboard, if you scroll down, will look like this, where you'll have the Calm logo and the link where that's the first step you need to take to access the app. And then it should be very straightforward from there. If you end up having any issues, definitely reach out to me and we can usually get them straightened out really quickly. That logo won't show up until we've confirmed your eligibility. So that's happening right now in the next few days for most people who enrolled mid-August. So you should see that popping up on your dashboard soon. I think that's everything I had. Logan, can you think of anything we might have forgotten?
Nope, I think that's it. Any questions, feel free to reach out to our support team as well. Leslie, I'm sure if you don't have that, I can send that over to you. Yeah, happy to help out how we can.
Awesome. So definitely avail yourself of this benefit. It really will it really will meet you where you're at and offer you a lot of options for things that come up during your work and your life. Thanks again, Logan, for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to seeing everybody signing in and starting to use it.
Right. And look out we often do a calm challenge throughout the year, so look out for notices about that. All right. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.